Lindis.
Thank you. I'm very fortunate, actually, because something I'm never allowed to do as a consultant, but in this particular circumstance, I did write a bit of a rant, which I think you've got. So I'll try and keep my response short, because you can read my rant later. But first of all, in the NUC, we always argue that landscape is context. It's context to our lives, and it's our national identity, it's our regional identity, and it's our local identity. But it's also the consequence. It's a consequence of decisions we take, the myriad of different decisions we take. And I think we need to bear that in mind. I, like Fiona, was absolutely stunned when I found Hoskins. It was another peeling of the eyes. But then I had another book as well that kind of gave me a second kick, which was Nan Fairbrother and New Lives, New Landscapes. And that told me Hoskins gave us the past, but we have to look to the future and actually consider how we plan for that future and create landscapes that are worth living in and worth being proud of. And I feel that's really what that's the challenge that Jonathon's thrown down, that we have to look to the future. It upsets me, and I think, again, Jonathon sent some very useful challenges, that when future visioning activities are undertaken, us people who deal with land use are actually very rarely invited to do those visioning exercises where somehow we know too much. You have to have a free mind to be able to deal with these things. And so one has these visions of techno world versus natural wonder world. And I mean, they're all fairy tales, frankly. Because they fail to do, as Jonathon was saying, bring them together and actually have a tad of reality. So I think what comes out of what Jonathon's saying is we do have to question, we perhaps have to pin down the things that we know and think what that means for landscape. And that helps shape what we don't know. And I was interested in Ms. Spellman's view of the future of agriculture in England, but in reality, has she also realised that we're running out of energy, the energy that has actually fueled farming in the past, and we've probably got a 10-year timescale on an agriculture that can still rely on that amount of oil to produce the food in the way that we have in the past. And indeed, she may be forced to think differently if she's still in post in 10 years' time, which well, I won't say any more on that. But just to say, finally, in terms of looking forward, and I'm sorry, I've said this to other people, so I apologise to those who've heard it before, but I think the real challenge for us, certainly picking up again on what a number of people said, alluding to ecosystem services, is to try and ensure that in the future, the functions we need, land use and landscapes to perform, deliver the landscapes we want, because landscape is both head and heart. Head, it just has to deliver a wide range of functions if we are to have a sustainable future. But let's not forget our heart as well, because for many of us, that is actually what has fulfilled us, actually helped us relax and unwind. It gives us that very important sense of place. And I, for one, will fight very hard to make sure that we don't lose that sense of place. But at the same time, I want to live in the memory of Nan Fairbrother and say we have to search for new ways of doing it, new landscapes in some places that actually could be richer than, in some cases, what we've had in the past, driven by a more functional approach.
Thank you very much, Lindis. Well, we've heard from our panellists. On behalf of our panellist who wasn't able to make it tonight through ill health of her husband, I'd like to just make one additional comment, if I may, knowing that many of those of you who are with us this evening probably spend more of your time thinking about our urban landscapes than you do our rural landscapes. Jonathon made the point that within this time span, I've seen him writing in other locations where 70 million is an underestimate of where we might find ourselves, certainly another 10 million population. In the days when the regional spatial planning frameworks existed, we had a major debate in the southwest, in my home city of Bristol, about where we were going to accommodate 500,000 people. And the answer was we're either going to accommodate them in the green belt, which, as Neil has indicated, is fiercely protected by local citizens, or we were going to accommodate them within the city. And I'm personally of the view that since we're seeing urbanisation becoming an increasingly important part of modern living, that actually making sure that those urban environments are every bit as attractive and as comfortable to live in as rural environments is a key part of this debate. We're seeing town cramming, frankly, taking place, with historic parks disappearing under new development within the city centre. The question is, we're going to need to accommodate change in the future, and how do we do it?